Hi, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Milan. We were both affected by life threatening medical conditions during our early teenage years, and both received wishes from the Make a Wish Foundation.
After our wishes were granted, Milan and I both joined the Make-A-Wish Youth Board, where we met and decided to start our podcast, The Wish Kids.
Our podcast highlights experiences and life from a sick kid's point of view and offers more insight into the magic of a Make a Wish.
Welcome to The Wish Kids.
Happy Friday. Welcome to the Wish Kids. This week is very special because we have a guest, my sibling, Tomas.
Hello there. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super special because this is our first Wish sibling and one that's very, very near and dear to our hearts, obviously, being Milan's older brother. Very close connection to the podcast, so thanks for coming on. You guys, obviously seem very close now, seem close during treatment. Were you close beforehand as well, or do you think that this experience brought you closer as friends and family?
I personally think we've always been very close because we've been raised to just kind of your family comes first, and that's my first best friend. That is who I've just grown up admiring and respecting is my older brother. And something just early on that we've always still kind of go back to, even if we siblings fight, it's kind of like a traditional thing, there's always those ups and downs. But something that we always go back to is that when I was born, he gave me his childhood baby blanket. And I just think that has set the precedent for the rest of our sibling relationship, that he is always there for me. And that's kind of the best built-in best friend. And I've been very fortunate to have such a great support system. And so I think we were close, but definitely in the hospital, I feel we got closer just because that was my best friend who could visit me, because there was obviously regulations about who can see you and stuff. And it was great to have my brother.
Yeah, I would say for sure because even when we were younger, obviously giving you one of my most prized possessions was my blankie. Um, so like you said, it's like a built-in best friend. Whenever you call me, I want to be there for you. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's a moment, I think I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but he used to push me around the hospital in the wheelchair, and I was we were doing Hot Wheels but with the wheelchairs.
oh yeah,
And it was always
oh yeah,
really fast, and he would skirt around the corners, and it was the most fun because you have to go out and get fresh air every so often, and he would take charge on that, would push me around. It was the most fun little outing you could have during the day and in between treatments. So I think that was great. So he would
oh
break
yeah.
up the mundane routine you would have just kind of sitting there.
That's so funny.
Setting up little obstacle courses and doing time trials and watching the doctors' faces as they just see this wheelchair kids just pedaling on it.
A little
Um,
slalom run through the hallways.
yeah, exactly. Just drifting through 'em, and then she's just like, "Ah," and again, all the doctors are like, "What the heck?" And I'm like, "We're on a mission."
That was probably very helpful for you too, Tomas, as a fun game to play and just an escape from this hospital. I mean, you come into this place and it for being a child with a critical illness, it's one thing. It's very tough for us to be in there. But it's us that's going through the challenges. We know what to expect. We know how it affects our body. But you, as a sibling, but also an outsider in a way, coming in, seeing these sick children, seeing your sick sister, it must have been especially tough to not knowing essentially how it feels, but still feeling very bad and wanting to help in any way you can. And so doing things like that, small things, just driving down the hallway with Milan must have been a great escape and great way, bring a smile to both your faces.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it was also helping my parents in a way too, because that was tough. Milan, she's a trooper. She doesn't care. Would you have two bone marrow transplants on your birthdays, something
Yeah.
like that? I don't know. And she's like, all right, let's go again. And I'm like, what? For whatever that came out, whatever they said, it was fine. And then what was tough was watching my parents not want to cry during the treatments or anything like that. So whatever I could do to get you laughing was gold, because they'd be like, oh man, that really helps everyone. And honestly, I think it helped the freaking hospital because it was kind of depressing
Yeah.
when you walk in there and you see all these like, I mean, it's sad, honestly, sometimes. And so what was awesome was I know that you, Milan, would bring like gifts for the other kids, like in Ziploc bags or like sanitized packages. Everything was like there. You're like Oprah for gifts, like you get one, and like it, and you even gave some to the nurses, if I remember. We'd get them like Starbucks
We
stuff,
would
like
do Girl Scout cookies.
yeah, and people people would go nuts. And I think if you like, here's the thing, if you can laugh about it, you can heal from it much faster. And so I think you were, Milan, you were always really good at that, about being able to share laughter and joy. And it really just changed the way that people interacted, and the nurses, because they could be coming in from like one of the toughest shifts ever, seeing some bad stuff. And you'd be like, yeah, but check out these thin mints, yo. And they're and it would just like it would just lighten everyone's mood. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing. So if you again, if you can laugh with it, you can live with it. And you've always had that positive attitude, which I really respect and appreciate.
Aw, thank you. Oh my God. We should have you on more often.
This is a
This is
Milan
great.
hype up session.
Matthew, I'm sure you're great too.
Thanks, Tomas. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Laughter is the best medicine. And I think that you a big contributor to why it was kind of like a more positive experience. And like when you did have to go back to school, because like you were still in school while this was all happening. And I think that was something that I was like disappointed in, of like, oh, like not everybody gets to just sit in the hospital with me. Like you actually have a life outside of this. And I think that's why it was like honestly really rewarding for me to have my Make-A-Wish, was so that I got to give back like to my entire family an opportunity to kind of come together and enjoy an environment outside of the hospital. And like we got to do an activity that kind of brought us all together. And I just kind of, I want to know, like, what was it like hearing that I was going to get a Make-A-Wish? Like, did that make, because I feel we often talk about the misconception that people have towards Make-A-Wish, that like, did you feel nervous that you thought maybe Make-A-Wish meant something else? And then how has that like changed to what your interpretation of the foundation is now?
When I first found out that you were getting a wish, I was like surprised, honestly, that they found you, which I think is like really cool. And I didn't realize how large their reach was. Like, there's a lot of people that give a lot of time and energy into finding people that really need hope. And for me, one of the most beautiful things was watching you get more hope about something to look forward to. And I think that's one of the most powerful things in this world, especially for a younger person to be going through something that they're going through that's really bad, is to give them a glimmer of hope, of just something to look forward to. And it can literally transform the experience that they're going through. So when I first heard about it, I was kind of like, nervous. I didn't want them to fumble the ball. But they really did amazing. Like it was a fantastic experience. I believe, you kind of were deciding between a couple of things, but we landed on going to Paris Disney. And it was because of that turtle ride.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Surfs Up. Oh
Or
my,
Crush's coaster.
Crush's coaster. Oh my, we rode that thing far too many times.
It was a lot. I would still do it today. It's such a different ride that they don't have in like regular Disneyland or Disney World. And I just like, it was only in Paris and I had to go because I love turtles. And the like entire coaster is made out of like the turtle shell, not like real turtle shells, but like it looks like you sit in upside down turtle shells and you like roll around, and it's so fun.
Like teacups?
But it's not the spinning teacups. It's like a roller coaster.
Oh. It's a
Yeah.
Euro exclusive. I've only been to the California
They
Disney.
do it
I'm
different in Europe,
sorry.
Matthew. They
Had
do
to
it
be
different.
there. It's one of those things. Tomas, did you have any, or did you try having influence on the wish, or did you let Milan take full reins, or would you like whisper in your ear, like, "Ooh, like do something like
Yeah.
I don't know what you would ask for, but do something else."
I bribed her. I was like, no more wheelchair rides until you pick a different wish. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted her to have like free reign of anything else but meeting a TikToker Viner person. So
Mm.
it was I'm glad that we settled on her wish, which was to go to that ride, that one specific ride that she
Yeah,
was just hooked on.
it wasn't even Euro Disney. It was just going to the turtle ride.
It
That's
actually
That was her
was like
wish.
when we talked to the person of finalized wish, like that was the thing. I was like, oh, I want to ride Crush's coaster in Euro Disney, and they're like, let's like tagline it Euro Disney.
You're like, sure, call what you want. I know what I want. I know what I'm getting out of this.
I'm like, I know what we're doing.
Yeah.
When we got there, I remember that there was a cool moment that we got to the hotel area that we were staying at, which was very nice. And I guess it was kind of like a surprise that I got to select the first thing that we went to go do. And it was like, Tomas, you've been there, you've supported, Milan and us as a family, like going through this. What would you like to do now that we're here in Paris? And I go, me being me, a fan of like horror movies and everything, dark and fun, I go, I want to go to the catacombs.
Oh my gosh, that's the opposite of Make a Wish. I feel like that's like.
And the family being as supportive as they are, they go, okay. So we waited in line with all these, other interesting people. And we're probably like, I think Milan was like the youngest, smallest one going like, we're going to the catacombs. Like, are there cats? Like, and it's just, skulls and bone. Looking back at it, probably not going to be my first choice to really kick the trip off.
Yeah, that was the start of the trip. That wasn't even like
It
after
actually
experiencing
was
Disney.
like the day we had like flown in. It was so early that we had like enough time to like do
Oh
different
my
things because
gosh.
we were there for about 10 days, I think, that I really wanted like I kind of asked everybody what they wanted to do because I think it was really cool that Make-A-Wish didn't only just like sequester us on like the Euro Disney resort hotel. Like we actually got to stay in Paris and it was so beautiful. We had museum passes and everything. And I really wanted to make sure that this wish wasn't like just for me. It was in a way like for my entire family. So I really wanted to make sure that kind of everybody got to do something that they wanted to do in Paris. And even if it was something I'm totally not interested in, I was down to do it because they've been there for me when I was going through something. So I was like, you know what? This is great. And honestly, there's a lot of history there. I learned something I had no idea about. I mean, actually, when we were talking with our last guest, Amy, she had also gone to Paris, and I kind of was talking about how, yeah, a lot of people don't actually know that the catacombs are there. Like, it's a very niche little topic. So I actually admire that Tomas was able to kind of come up with something a little bit different and outside of the box there.
I will say that it was kind of a poetic experience, if you will, because we went into because we had to climb down like these massive amounts of staircases and it got colder and colder. But it also to me symbolized kind of the journey of going through your treatment, where when we were going down this path and we like almost got lost because it was so dark and the lights were kind of going in and out, that we really just relied on each other while we were down in there. And I had me being like the gear guy, I had a flashlight and stuff just in case. But it was beautiful that when we came out, we literally saw like the light at the end of the tunnel, and it was like a breath of fresh air. And we came out into this beautiful like alleyway that expanded into the city with cobblestones, and it was just so refreshing. And it's like we made it out of that experience together. And even though it was like one of the most darkest things that we've done as a family, I think it also brought us closer together when we came back into the light, and was just like a symbolic experience for us going through this ride of your illness and coming out on top, being able to get through it together.
That's such a gorgeous, gorgeous way to describe a basement full of skeletons and bones. Like that's it. I've never heard a, anything described so eloquently as that hallways of skulls and comparing to your journey. That was amazing. Wow, holy
Thank you.
cow.
Big brain there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yes.
come on,
I
face
think
it.
it was a great way to kind of start off the Make-A-Wish experience because then I had a lot of fun in the merch shop after that. And I bought a shirt. And then I think we went to
Right?
dinner and obviously
Yeah.
ate a lot of food because it's Paris. The food is amazing, especially the bread. I
Oh,
love
you learned how to say that, huh?
I
Everywhere we
did.
went. Do you
What?
remember? Do you remember how to say it?
Oh, yes, le pain avec du beurre. Bread and butter. What is your relationship with Make-A-Wish now?
My relationship with Make-A-Wish is much more appreciative of what they're capable of because before I thought it was like, oh, we can get this kid a basketball or something, but it's like, no, they have a lot of people that really care about positively impacting the lives of others. That it's like, no, we're gonna take you to the game. We're not just gonna get you a basket. And it's like, I love how grandiose it can get. And like I said, I think hope is one of the most powerful things that you can give someone. And I feel that it really gives people a lot of hope, not only for just a younger kid going through something really tragic, but letting the whole family feel hope and letting others know that there's great people out there that want to help someone else. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things you could do. And it's really given people a lot of sense of community. I felt like you really dedicated a lot of time to helping others from this and sharing that message that a lot of people don't have as tight of a family, I would say, as we do sometimes. And so by establishing connections and making friends with people in the Make-A-Wish community, you have that instant experience, almost like, trauma bonded of like, hey, we made it through this. Like, what do you need? What helped you get through this? Like, oh, maybe you can recommend that to me or whatnot. That there's a great support system that Make-A-Wish has.
Yeah, Make a Wish, the community of Make a Wish is really incredible, and we are definitely trying to help build that here on the podcast. Is just like spreading that sense of belonging and caring, and just having others that have been through similar things, like you said. And it's Make a Wish does an incredible job of forming that community.
I actually wanted to ask you, like, do you have any advice for other siblings who are kind of like not necessarily on the outside, but are also kind of experiencing what you went through of watching someone you love and care about go through something hard? Like, what advice do you have for kids who might be experiencing that?
But the most powerful thing you can do is just be there for them. That it's like I said, honestly, one of the most beautiful things is just being able to make you laugh, or just, I feel knowing that you have someone in your corner that's there fighting alongside you, and be patient because it's not uh, a one-time thing where it's like, oh, we did 3 hospital visits, like we're good. Like, no, usually it's going to be like a couple years. And it's at that point after a long period of time where that's when the support really needs to kick in. So you're in it for the long haul and just take it day by day because it's not promised to anyone and you got to live to the fullest extent that you can.
It really is those little things, like those little check-ins here and there. I remember my brother came to visit me once in the hospital with his wife, and they brought me a pizza, and it was one of the best pizzas I ever had. And it might have been like the steroids, it might have been the comparison of hospital food to outside pizza. It might have just been that they brought it for me.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I still tell people that's one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my life. And I still always recommend the place in the city. It's Signore's Pizza on 19th and Taraval. And I tell people, like, that's the best pizza. I say, my brother brought me that pizza while I was in the hospital. That's the best pizza. And it's just like little things like that that really, they really do stick with us, being the kids who are in the hospital. And so it doesn't go unnoticed, Tomas, the effort that you put in and the things you do for your sibling.
I would also say that, any other advice would be like, don't be afraid to ask for help too, because you're not the only one going through it. And I think something that really helped me was kind of like sharing and opening up to a couple of people and, just getting help, getting people that I could talk to share that experience because the load is lightened by the more people that can carry it. So if you're able to share it with other people and kind of let that ego go of just like, oh, I can handle it, like let it go and check in with the parents or guardians of whoever's going through that because it takes a team to get through it. So whatever you can do to support them will, like you said, it'll go a long, long way.
And the other thing that I really like that you would do is send music. Even though we have very different music tastes, I still
Yeah.
valued that you would do that. And I think it's like a great time to maybe do our music suggestions if everybody wants to jump on that.
Yes, one of the songs I've been listening to recently, like before I go work out or while I'm working out, is called "Let's Go" by Jaxson Gamble. So it's not something like I'll listen to like if I'm gonna go like relax, but it definitely gets me pumped up and excited to go work out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a very, very pump up, hyper song. Yeah.
it does have a good like motivational element to it. Like I could see myself going to run a few miles on that, and I've not run in a while, so I see the intention of the song.
The second song I chose is Save Your Tears by The Weeknd. And I chose this because it reminds me of one of the most fun experiences I've ever had, which was at Hollywood Horror Nights in Los Angeles, the Universal Studios, because they had a whole weekend themed haunted house. So it was playing while your adrenaline spiked and just running through it. So
That's awesome. I can imagine they do a like a mirror hall or hall of mirrors, kind of like he did at the Super Bowl halftime show as well, maybe.
yeah. They had
Very
that, and
fun.
also in the Michael Myers house from Halloween,
Oh,
there was like mirrors and like 25 different like Michael Myers things. You didn't know which one was gonna move.
oh, that's terrifying. I could not do that. I've heard Universal does their horror nights very, very well though, and also this song, great song. There's a remix with Ariana Grande on it.
Oh,
Also, it's pretty good. I like that one.
The weekend has some good stuff going for him. I'm gonna do my song suggestions next. I picked "Reflecting Light" by Sam Phillips. It was in Gilmore Girls. This is when like Luke and Lorelai get married, and it's just like a really happy time. And the first time I watched Gilmore Girls was when I was in the hospital, and it's just a great song, and I love it. And then my next one is Cognitive Dissonance by Sophie Holohan. And it's just, I don't know, it just sounds really pretty. And I like her voice in it. So those are the two.
It was a very pretty song. Very cool title too. Like. I don't know what dissonance means, but it's a very cool title.
It definitely makes you want to go do a research paper.
I've been on a bit of a Stevie Wonder kick recently. So both my songs are by Stevie Wonder. My first one is "Don't You Worry About a Thing." I
nice.
bought this album at Amoeba Music last weekend. I found it in the discount bin. I thought that's a cool album, and I was like, "Oh, Stevie Wonder, I like him." And I didn't realize the song was on it. And I like the song. And then my other song is "As" by Stevie Wonder. Just the word "as" as. But very good song, long song. I think it's about 7 minutes long, but very, very fun. Good shower song because that's about being in California. We're in a drought still despite all this rain, so you gotta take quick showers. So 7 minutes is a good amount of time. One song, that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had the song a few years ago with some buddies called the Rattling Bog, and it was 8 minutes long. And for about a week, we tried to measure all time in Rattling Bogs. So I would be like, "Oh, you want to go get dinner?" Like, "Oh yeah, give me like 3 Rattling Bogs, I'll be ready." Or like, "How much homework do you have?" "Oh, like about 15 Rattling Bogs left."
Could you imagine being out in public
Dude, it
and
took so
letting
much
that
time. Like I would
slip?
I would pull up my phone to like pull a calculator to see how much time I actually needed in Rattling Bars just to like try to keep doing it. It was useless, but it was very funny to us. Yeah. Well, this podcast has been a good amount of Rattling Bars. I think it's about time to end it. So we appreciate having you on, Tomas. Appreciate all your stories very, very much. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored, and I love you, Milan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being on here. It was very impromptu, so I appreciate you being a guest and getting the
Welcome.
perspective of a Wish sibling. And as always, the Wish Kids wish you well.
We would also like to thank all of our wonderful nurses and doctors that we've had along the way and remind you that they are healthcare professionals, not us.
Please keep in mind, any medical information or stories shared and discussed in this podcast are based on personal experiences and are not meant to serve as medical advice. Please talk with your doctor about any medical concerns, questions, and guidance, as they are trained medical professionals.
Any brands, corporations, trademarks, or characters in the show, even those based on real people, are purely fictional.
The Wish Kids wish you well.